going on, guys? Mike McFarland here, Lake Fork Fishing Guide. I'm sitting in my corner and I'm going to give you guys a rundown for the beginning of March, basically March 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Today is the 4th. Let's talk about the board. I believe I gave you a rundown on Friday. The last 3 days I've actually been very fortunate and blessed to film with the owner, Mr. Brett Ware of Tightline's Lure Company. And I also had the honor of meeting Captain Tony Summers from Florida, who guides right there out of Disneyland. What an awesome dude. What an incredible fisherman. I put him on the fish and he made catching them look pretty easy. It was a really nice few days. Now fishing's not incredible, but I'll tell you how we did and what went on. The last 3 days were incredible. So Saturday, the water parameter, 63 to 68 degrees. Remember, this is always the main body, the core, okay? And it's the subsurface. It's your first 18 inches. I always give you this because if you pay attention, you're a tournament goer and you're following me, you want to know that because you can really make some judgments of backwaters. Now, backwaters are definitely going to be warmer now this time of year, but if you really focus to this, maybe we just had a 2-day cold front. The backwaters are likely to possibly be cooler. But by just keeping pay attention to what's going on, the main basin is more my concern, and I can make judgments in the backwaters throughout the season, up and down. Main basin temperature. Main basin water clarity, 1 to 2 foot. With all this rain that we've been having, I'm sure the backwaters don't have that. Some of them do, some of them don't. Ones that run real steep and deep and fast, probably washed out. Ones that are laid flat and thin flowing creeks, those might be a little cleaner water. Love the main lake, surprisingly enough, with the amount of rain that we've had, and you'll see here in a minute. It's still holding the 1 to 2 foot clarity. Okay, lake level as of Saturday, 403.27. All right, this is almost 3 inches over full pool. 403 is full pool. Over the last couple days, more rain. Between Sunday, Monday, 403.34. Today, 403.41. The lake is absolutely on the rise, and there's only one gate open. So with one gate open, there's still enough water that the lake is rising. Same thing, 1 to 2, everything's pretty much the same. Not really much of a water temperature increase. We're really having what I call like Seattle weather. We're just blanketed with cloud cover. It's not cold, but not a lot of sun penetration, so not a lot of fast warm trend. We've been sitting in the 65 to 68 degree water parameter for some time. The bass have been on beds for some time, quite a while. Many males have been sitting for 3 weeks or more. Females are not necessarily coming to them. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Definitely an off year. But here's the thing. The bedfish are everywhere, all right? The last 3 days until today, if I wasn't looking at them, meaning looking for bedfish, seeing them on the beds, I wasn't catching them. If I just went fishing, I wasn't catching much. I could not find a topwater bite. I could not find a square bill bite. I certainly wasn't getting any kind of swim bait bite, random bite here and there, but nothing to take home to the bank. For example, one morning I fished two hours hard, throwing a lot of different baits, trying to get on camera some footage with jerk baits and square bills and other things, hard baits, new stuff coming out from Tightline's UV. And after 2 hours, it wasn't the baits. There were no fish feeding on the shad spawns. There were no fish feeding on those shell beds or points. They were all tied up in beds. And at 9 o'clock, when I audibled to go bed fishing, within minutes, really an hour, we had a limit of bedfish in the 19 to 20 pound range. Very amazing at how many fish are on beds this late in the season. What I can tell you is this is not a commercial. Yes, they are one of my sponsors, one of my great friends, Tony Summers. Captain Tony Summers is going to become one of my lifelong friends. So I'm not trying to pimp a product, but I was using this for years now, and at least past several years now here, and I really am getting more and more as a believer in dirty water conditions, in deep water conditions, in low light conditions. There is no ifs, ands, or buts that the UV effects, UV, GV effects, and more to come from Tightlines This stuff is for real. It's the real deal, and it really is a difference maker in those scenarios. Many pros are using this stuff. They're using the principles of what this is all about, the UV. These baits do not glow. This is a reflection, okay? Reflection of UV light that the sun basically puts off, and it penetrates the water down to even 20, 25, 30, 40 feet, okay, depending on water clarity, water content. But these baits are all that I needed to make a day out of bed fishing. I chose 3 different colors, 2 different types of baits. The number one most favorite, and the one that really worked the best, was the Tightline Hybrid Craw, rattling hybrid craw. It's got a rattle built in it. So rattling hybrid craw in green pumpkin, fire tiger. Okay, didn't even have to ever dip the chartreuse, but sometimes I would. But that's your UV. You can do it in the UV or the GV. They're 2 different things. So between the green pumpkin fire tiger and the watermelon red, and man, this thing, you put a UV light on this thing, and this thing is loud and bright. And in that dirty water, I'm telling you, like, if you think you like chartreuse, you think chartreuse shows up in dirty water, you ought to see what that thing does in dirty water. Let me see if I got one of my UV lights right here. I don't know if I'm sure I do. There they are. There's my UV light. I don't know whether this will put any UV effects for you under camera or not. But potentially, there's a lot more to that than what you're actually seeing, what the fish see underwater. So anyways, not to go too far into that. These are the baits that we used the last 3 days. This is all we needed. Okay? The hybrid rattling craw, watermelon red, hybrid rattling craw, green pumpkin, fire tiger, and then the other is basically a green pumpkin chartreuse tip. But this is the beaver. This is a whisker beaver. Awesome for punching and flipping, but I'm going to tell you what, as a brim, dip those claws chartreuse, throw that on a bed fish, and you won't have to wait an hour to get it mad. This thing and these colors in the dirty water with the UV and or GV reflective effects absolutely allowed us to have clockwork smack down on those bed fish. And again, as I said, a limit in 20 pound limit, hour and a half each day. When we chose to go bed fishing, that's all it took. All right. So that part is, I'm telling you, from McFarland Fishing and the integrity that I teach everybody that follows me and knows that I'm honest, you need to look into this product. Okay. I told you it was coming. There's more coming with the hard baits. There's a lot of secrets, things I learned the last few days spending time with Mr. Brett Ware, a creator and inventor. He's always working on something new, even looking 2 years out. So such a blessing. Thank you, Brett. What a wonderful time. To all my clients that are following, thanks for what you do to check this stuff out. Okay. All right. That's the last 3 days. Let's talk about this morning. So the last 3 days, as I said, I wanted that hard bait bite. Of course, Brett heads back to Kansas, Missouri. And this morning we start out, guess what? Topwater bite. That's right. It is here. It's usually really full blown by May. And most of the time it's all about birds. Find the blue herons, find the divers, find the busting bass. If you're patient enough, you'll see them blow up. It's awesome. They do it around the shell beds. They do it around the reefs and the points and the ditches, the wind-blown places. But find the shad this time of year, especially the spawning thread fins, and you're going to be with the bass, all right? So today, we started right out in the right spot. We had a pretty darn good smackdown going. Big fish to boot, 4 or 5 pounds and better. We lost a better fish, but it was a full-blown topwater bite, and nothing better than walking bait. All right? I prefer the Vixen. This is a Vixen in bone, all right? And I throw these usually on braid 90% of the time. The reason being is I can throw it a lot farther with braid. I want to be able to throw this as far as I can. We're going to talk about that in a quick second. The other bait that I really suggest, big bite bait, and this is what Lee Live Say weighed 112 pounds in 3 days with a combination of a couple things else, the glide bait and stuff. But his final day, 42 pounds on a saltwater spook Basically, they're a spook saltwater version. This is bait by Heddon. The difference between the saltwater and the regular is the hooks. Get the saltwater. In Texas, we have a lot of rust. The saltwater hooks won't rust. So saltwater spook, this thing is bad to the bone. I like the banana color. It's yellow on the top, yellow on the bottom, clear on the sides. But again, bone is probably your better choice. Bone is the best color on Lake Fork, or really anywhere, in my opinion, for this kind of top water. Walk the dog. Long casting bait. It's heavy. You can bomb it. These big fish in Lake Fork, the bigger they are, the smarter they are, the more conditioned they are. They won't let the boat get close to them. You need to see where those fish are blowing up, make an assessment like LifeSafe did, and put the boat away somewhere, power pull down, get off your trolling motor, turn all your sonars on, maybe smoke a cigar, whatever, have a burrito, have a drink, let things be quiet. This morning it took 20 minutes after we put the boat there for the fish to do what they were doing. We spooked them coming in, kind of like going into your tree stand. It takes 20, 30 minutes for things to calm down, and then all of a sudden they're back to normal. So we had to put the boat in, be stealth, and wait. All right, all of a sudden, when these fish started blowing up for us this morning, it was frustrating. They wouldn't eat the big bait. And it only took once or twice for me to see small bait fly out of the water when they busted them. I immediately changed. This is my point of this basically rundown, little lesson in it. Almost always you should match the hatch. Not 100%, but 99, 98% of the time you need to match the hatch. If they're going to eat, if they're really riled up, they'll eat anything. But if they're not, if you're wondering, how come I can't catch these fish? You have to match the hatch. That means the size profile even more than the color. Okay, so I stayed with the bone. You know I can't go wrong with bone. And I matched the size of the bait that I saw coming out of the water. And we went to the Live Magic Popper, or basically a Yellow Magic. A Rico can also be really effective. I wanted that white feather on that tail just because everything was so small. I wanted that extra little flicker and flash. And lo and behold, bam, that's what created the smackdown, the change. They were not eating the walking baits. They absolutely got all over the popper. All right. Throw the popper on a little bit different. This is a real light bait. It's small compared to that spook. So I do throw it on 20 pound. I throw monofilament. Okay. And I throw the bait, Mason's Bass on, M-A-S-O-N, Bass on. That's the brand. It allows me again to get that real long cast, keeping myself in the boat away from where all this top water action is happening. All right, last thing and I'll let you go. Remember, when you're seeing this top water stuff, stay away from it, but also listen. All right, Lee LifeSafe showed us. He was really open book on camera. He talked about one side being the nursery and the other side being the big fish. How did he know that? Well, by, first of all, experience. He's a seasoned veteran guide, and he's one of the best fishermen I think the world will ever see. He's really, really, really good. There's more to come from him. But he heard it. He saw it, but he heard it. So the toilet flushes, when a big, big, huge bass busts the surface, it's not a splash. It's not a kerplop. It's a swirling, thrashing, swirling, like a toilet flush. Learn to listen to those different sounds. It'll help you dial in sometimes in these areas. In one football field, you can have fish blowing up. Where are the bigger ones? Learn to listen to those toilet flushes. That'll make all the difference in the world. All right, I feel like I just gave you guys a whole lot of the juice. That is exactly what's happening on Lake Fork right now. It is exactly what we're catching them on. And I really appreciate you watching. So thank you guys, all you that run into me and give me the knuckles and thanks and the thumbs up. I give it right back to you. Remember to do that here for me. Hit the thumbs up here. It really means a lot to me here on the site. Subscribe if you haven't. And man, if you have any questions or anything more, please ask. Look, you can get these baits. Right now, I only know of 2 places. Tackle Warehouse carries the Tightline lures. And then Lake Fork Marina, one other, the Minnow Bucket. The east side of the lake, the Minnow Bucket. Awesome place. Check that out too. And hey, I'm Mike McFarland, giving you a really good Lake Fork rundown. Appreciate you, and I'll talk to you in a couple days.